لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Cherished viewers of MTA, we are happy to come your way with a maiden edition of our program Misconceptions Removed. This program is a very humble attempt to explain some of the misconceptions that people have about Islam. And so we will be going out there to seek the views of the people about what they think of some of the issues that are usually misconstrued about Islam. And to help me to do discussion today is Al-Hajj Ahmed Suleiman Anderson. Al-Hajj Ahmed Suleiman Anderson is the Naib Amir III of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission Ghana. Al-Hajj, you are most welcome. And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And thank you, my brother.
Like I've said, we want to help members to do away with some of the misconceptions in Islam. And for today's discussion, I would want us to focus on jihad in Islam. And we all know that jihad is an issue. When you mention jihad, it's a whole lot of issue. So let us start by understanding what the word jihad itself means. If we ask you, what is the meaning of jihad, what would you tell us?
Thank you very much. And let me take the opportunity to say salam to the cherished viewers out there. This is a very important program, and I pray that it goes very far. The term jihad, or the word jihad, is an Arabic word. This Arabic word has literally been translated to mean strive, or striving in the cause of something. Striving with yourself, striving with your wealth, your property, with the view to establishing something that you believe in and you believe it to be right. And in this case, it has metaphorically been used to mean striving in the cause of Allah. Jihad has a beginning in Islam. If you look back to history, at the very onset of Islam, Muslims were subjected to persecution and various forms of atrocities. Muslims were murdered in the street of Mecca, their blood flowing in the streets of Mecca, and yet they bore this pain with smiles on their faces because they believed that they were in serving Allah, and they have recognized Allah as their creator. This went on until a certain point in time when it became necessary that Allah himself asked that they needed to defend themselves in order to establish the religion of Allah.
Okay. So in trying to establish the religion of Allah, they had to strive. They had to go through some kind of struggle and make an effort to do what they have been commanded to do, which means that the word, as you have explained, jihad, should not be feared, so that when you hear at the mention of jihad, people do panic and you see people running away or giving diverse interpretations. Is jihad a word that should be feared? Should people panic at the mention of the word jihad?
It is unfortunate that in our contemporary world, when you mention the word jihad, it sends shivering down the spine of many. And it is all because of the way Muslims have misconstrued the meaning and have misapplied it and are carrying themselves in this day and age of the world. If I take you a little back and then you look at the various definitions of a Muslim and the way that the Prophet of Islam himself ﷺ, described that a Muslim is the one from whose hands, from whose lips, all other creatures of Allah are saved. So that if you are a Muslim and all other creation, including humans, are saved at your hands, how come that something that you are doing in the name of Allah will rather send fear and panic in the public society?
Thank you very much for the eloquent explanation of the word jihad, which means that from what you have just said, it means even the attempt that you make in order that people are saved at your hands or in your hands is also a form of jihad. Is that what it is?
Exactly, because you are doing so to establish justice, which justice is an act, doing so is an act of worship, right, to serve Allah. So if you are doing that, it is a jihad. And then if you will allow me to, in those days, they didn't just get up to say they were going to, fight in the cause of Allah, but they themselves had been pushed to the wall, and until they defended themselves, the enemies were bent on eliminating Islam from the surface of the earth. And when they were asked to defend themselves, it was not even for their own personal defense, but to defend everything that had to do with Allah. To defend synagogues, they were to defend churches, they were to defend mosques, and every other place of worship of Allah, including human beings, the weak, the aged, the women, and everybody who was vulnerable. That attempt to do so is what we refer to as jihad. Maybe in the course of discussion, there will be another aspect of it.
I'm very grateful for the in-depth exposition of the meaning of jihad. At this juncture, from what you have explained, I believe that the people out there have different perception altogether. So to be able to continue the discussion, I would want us to listen to what people say about jihad out there. So we'll go onto the street of Accra and find out from people, those who are not Muslims and the ordinary people on the street, what their basic understanding of jihad is all about.
I don't know, but the jihad, if you look at the news, it's just somebody who are fight for their rights. That's what I can understand. But the way they fight is quite different from what we think. Because if jihad is fighting for something, but you shed the blood or you kill people, for me it's not fair. For us, we need peace. We need to have to enjoy the way we are living. So if somebody can kill you because of issues of jihad, for me it's not that fair. So I'm not very happy with the term jihad. For me, it's not sound very good because of those what happens to other countries. You think these people are jihad people. So I don't think those. It's not good for me. Not good.
Yeah. So he says that jihad is fighting for yourself, but then he goes on to add that killing people and maiming people and all that is carried out in the name of jihad. What response do you have to what you have just listened to?
I think that this is exactly what we are talking about as misconceptions that people hold against the beautiful teaching of Islam. And sometimes I don't blame them. And I don't blame them because here we are, people call themselves jihadists. And jihadists, they go out there and then attack anybody they think is not for them or is against them. Perception. If somebody doesn't have the same faith as you have, you think the person is against you. And today some Muslims see such people as enemies. But Islam has a beautiful teaching, which teaching says that there should be no compulsion in religion because right has become distinct from wrong. And so even if so long as somebody is not attacking you because of your faith, so long as somebody is not preventing you from carrying out your faith. You have no right to go out there and kill anybody. In those days, when Muslims were defending themselves, yes, it so happened that as you are defending, in the course of defending yourself, you will kill somebody.
Yeah, so let us dwell on that point of killing somebody. The tip we just watched, he ended by saying that, yes, in the name of jihad, they kill people. And that is the reason why he doesn't want to hear about the word jihad. And like you have also said, in the course of the war, people were killed. Does it mean that killing is jihad, or jihad means killing?
Jihad does not in any way means killing. Those killing that we are talking about were killings in the course of defense. Because somebody is trying to even kill you, and you are making an attempt to defend yourself. And the modern day warfare will tell you that the best way to attack is to defend. The best way to defend yourself is to attack. And so if somebody is attacking you because of your faith and is not prevented, then you are defending yourself, and in the course of that, you succeed in killing somebody. But that is not because it is the meaning of jihad. But it has become so because you are carrying out an exercise in your defense, and in defense of maybe a synagogue, a mosque, a church, or something else in the name of Allah, and the attacker finds himself dead. That is how the killing in this case will happen. But such killing necessarily doesn't necessarily mean that it is the killing which is jihad, and that you should go out there and do killing and call it jihad, because there is a jihad that has to do with yourself. And if you pardon me, in the account of history, it is said that one time when Muslims had returned from a war, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told them that now we have returned from a small jihad, and we are now going into a bigger jihad. And this bigger jihad meant that they were to struggle with themselves to eliminate the animalistic instincts in them, to do away with their fleshy desires, to do away with their human weaknesses, to strengthen themselves in righteousness and in faith, to be able to carry on with the reform that the Holy Prophet Muhammad has been sent to do, to bring mankind back to God. So, striving with yourself, meaning that you cleaning yourself, being in taqwa or righteousness and doing what is right, being able to overcome your weaknesses which urge you to sin, is the greatest jihad. So if jihad will mean killing, then it will mean that you must kill yourself, because you are striving and it means killing. So clearly, that is not the meaning of jihad.
If I understand vividly, what you have said is that in the course of striving to protect people's lives and properties, in the course of striving to protect your own life, which is a right you have been given by Allah, somebody may be killed, or you yourself might also be killed. But it is not the killing that constitutes jihad.
Thank you very much.
In performing jihad,
yes,
this killing might be, or the jihad may lead to killing or the loss of life, but it does not mean that that loss of life is what constitutes jihad.
Yes,
but one thing that is also very interesting, which I would want you to explain, is that from our infancy till date, if you go out there and you mention the word jihad, the easiest definition that anybody will give to jihad is holy war. So jihad means holy war. So from all that you have said, how did jihad became known as holy war, or how did it become something that connotes a holy war, and what kind of war is termed as the holy war?
You see, there has been several attempts, sometimes by non-Muslims, to educate, or let me say, let the rest of the world know what Islam meant. And it is from their perspective that they try to teach. And some of us in the very early days in school, primary school, middle school, that is how we were taught that Muslims engage in holy war, and that was meant by jihad. So it has become known in the rest of the world that when you mention jihad in Islam, it means holy war. But no, I have just said that yes, there were wars. No doubt about that. There's a historical account of situations where there were wars. And if you look at the first war that was fought in Islam, it was Meccans having journeyed all the way from Mecca to Medina to attack the Muslims. And so Muslims were commanded to defend themselves. In that case, the Muslims were going out there not for themselves, not because they wanted a war, not because they felt that they must necessarily confront somebody, but it was necessary for them to do so in the cause of Allah, and that was described as jihad. In that case, yes, if you try to explain jihad as a holy war, in the sense that somebody has forced you into a war which you are not willing to, but you must necessarily engage in it in order to establish the truth. So that is how come jihad became associated with holy war. But otherwise, the word, like we have explained earlier, means striving, and striving with yourself. Striving, if you are striving with my property, it's not a war per se, but something that I will offer in the form of sacrifice for something to be done in the name of God.
That's good. Thank you very much. We'll go out there once more and then seek more views about what people think of jihad. So let's just go ahead and listen to some of the interviews we conducted out there.
Jihad. Well, way back in the primary school, we studied religious and moral education, and in one of our books, we had jihad being defined as a holy war waged on others by Islamic nations or Islamic leaders. Yes. My understanding of jihad, well, it still hasn't changed, because we have Muslims in very Islamic countries, or countries that have pledged themselves totally to Islam, waging wars on people they term infidels.
So, like I said earlier on, jihad means holy war, and that is what he has been taught when he was in the basic school, RME, religious and moral education. And he tied it into the conduct of Muslim nations. When they wage war against other nations, they term it holy war. And if you listen to the world news today, what we hear every day is about suicide bombing. Somebody will just hide a bomb in his dress. He go into where there are many people, and then he detonate the bomb, and he kills himself and kill many others as well, and term it as jihad. And that is what is being taught, and that is what the people out there are saying jihad is. What is your response to that?
The response doesn't change what we have said so many times earlier. It is unfortunate that some Muslims have contributed to this misconception. And like you rightly said, here we are Muslims having suicide bombs or bombing, killing innocent people. When the Holy Quran has said, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Holy Quran, that if you kill one person unjustly, it is as if you have killed the whole of mankind. So if you are a Muslim and you believe in Islam and in Allah, and then you go out there, committing suicide. First of all, committing suicide in Islam is a sin. So you have committed a sin against yourself in the first place. And then you go ahead to kill many, many people who are innocent, who have not offended in you in any way, who have not attacked you in any way. So what is the justification for this? In today's world, attack on Islam is by the pen. People take pen and write books, they write magazines, all sorts of things against Islam. That is the form of attack we now find in our contemporary world against Islam. So in fighting this, if you really want to go in the form of jihad in this way, then you must also take the pen and take the magazine, take the book and whatever resources are available to also write in response to these attacks that are coming in the form of pen. That is the best way to do jihad. But it's unfortunate people have...
You see, the real challenge we have here is that these are not Muslims. And so they will believe in what Muslims tell them. So if the Muslims themselves are telling us that we are going on this suicide bombing, we are going to kill people and cause damage to lives and property, and that is what our religion, Islam, says we should do, and that is what is called jihad in Islam. What do we, the ordinary people out there, what is our we do, because that is what you are telling us, that's what the Muslims are saying, and that is what they are doing as well.
No, Muslims haven't said that. True Muslims have never said that. It is only people who have shallow understanding of Islam and who are carrying out their own political ambitions who are doing this in the name of Islam. But no true Muslim will say that. And in any way, or in any case, that is even the reason why we are telling them now, if they didn't know, we want to let them know that this is not Islamic teaching. That is not what Islam means by the term jihad. The real Islamic meaning of jihad is what we have explained here, that you are striving with yourself to clean yourself of iniquities, to clean yourself of everything that will prevent you from getting to your Creator. You are like a metal on the ground. Allah is a magnet. If there is dirt in you or on you, the magnet cannot pick you. So you are cleaning yourself of all that rust or rusty elements in you for you to become wholesome enough for Allah's magnet to be able to pick you. And that is the Islam. So we want there are people out there must understand this and take this from us. There are people who are doing suicide bombing, people who are doing all forms of attacks, the Boko Harams and what have you, are not representing the faith of Islam. They are few. Indeed, they are very, very few. Millions and billions of Muslims out there who are doing very good, humanitarian services, trying to, portray the real teachings of Islam, are not killing.
Do not hear about such good practices.
Yes, you see, because bad news travel far.
That's fine. Okay.
Bad news travel very, very far, and there also an attempt by other, media. From the Western and sometimes from even within ourselves, trying to create this bad image, for Islam. And we Muslims must be wary of this kind of attempt and then be able to bring out the beauty of Islam and let the world see it.
Well, that's very well understood. But in most cases, when such suicide bombings are being undertaken, they link it to if I should say, a term that has also become popular in religious circles, that is infidels. But they say we need to kill the infidels, and if we're able to kill so number of infidels, and even when you die in the process, you yourself become a martyr, and a martyr by which reason you will not even be judged. You are going straight to heaven. And so we must target the infidels and make sure that we eliminate them so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not even judge us, but He will just take us to heaven straight forward without going through jail. Who is an infidel, according to
even before I come to that, if Allah created this as a means of people going into heaven and enjoying, then, excuse me to say with all apology, then Allah will not be just to the rest of His creation.
Yeah, but the people are infidels.
Those infidels are also Allah's creatures. Allah created them. And so you do not have any right to take the life of anybody that Allah has created. He himself has said, if you kill one person's life, I have killed the whole of mankind. So why would Allah say that, kill somebody and I will take you to heaven? The word infidel has several meanings. Yes, among them is sometimes an offensive way of describing your enemy. In other words, I wouldn't say enemy per se, but somebody who doesn't believe in your faith. What you believe in, the other person doesn't believe in. And so that person is seen as an outsider. Remember that as you are looking at somebody and saying he's an outsider, doesn't believe in your faith, he is also seeing you in the same manner because he also has his faith. And he's saying that you are also not part of him, so therefore you are also an infidel. In other meaning, from Christianity and Catholicism, it was referred to by those who were ordained in the Christendom or in the Christian belief. It comes from fidelity, that you are loyal to a faith, a principle that you believe in. So you show loyalty to that. So you are a fidel being to that kind of faith. Anybody outside that belief, anybody outside that principle is the opposite, and that is an infidel. So for me, generally speaking, the word infidel is not frightening, it's not abhorrent, it's not something bad per se. If I am a Muslim and you are not, you are an infidel, you don't believe in Islam. If I am a Christian and you are a Muslim, I will term you as an infidel because you don't believe in my Christian faith.
When you are pointing your finger
at somebody that is others are also
pointing
pointing the same thing at you. So
right,
what right
fine.
then do you have to go and kill? And then you doing so, the sad aspect, you believing that you doing so will mean Allah will be happy with you because you will die at no judgment. All the ills that you have committed will not be accounted for, and then Allah will just admit you straight away into paradise. Then there will be chaos in the world.
Yeah,
because other people will also be striving to kill everybody,
exactly.
Because you also want to go to heaven.
Very well understood. But we'll still go back to the street and find out what people think about jihad. So let's take our last shot and come back to the studios and continue with our discussions.
Jihad, I don't understand it. I've heard it numerous times, but then I haven't taken time to find out. I'll be happy if you could even tell me.
Yeah, he says you'll be happy if you can explain the word to him. Does it mean that you haven't done enough education? Because those who have heard about jihad, it's all about negative practices, and some also haven't even heard about the word at all. So doesn't it come back to you, Muslims, as a responsibility to be able to educate the people out there?
I perfectly agree with that concept, that Muslims need to educate the rest of the world what Islamic teachings really are. Unfortunately, Muslims are using this conduct rather to send wrong signals. Because if you do suicide bombing and you tell the world that you are doing so because you are a jihadist or it's a form of jihad, even though you have not spoken, but this action speaks louder than any words. So Muslims will have to stop this. Let the world understand that Islam means peace, peace with yourself, peace with your maker, peace with your neighbor. And neighborhood, the Holy Prophet Muhammad extended it to mean 40 houses on your right, 40 houses on your left, in front and behind you. The person you are traveling, on the same plane or vehicle with is your neighbor. The person
all these people must be educated. That's quite normal. That's quite normal.
And we need to demonstrate with our lives.
Our discussion is getting more interesting, but we are also being challenged with time. So let's very, very unfortunate. So finally, we spoke about this suicide bombing and the idea about infidelity. There's this interesting aspect of if we're able to kill so many people on the day of judgment, Allah will give you 70 beautiful virgins. For that is your gift or your reward for being able to kill so many people, so many infidels.
Is it when you kill one, you are giving 70? So
yes,
when you kill two, 140, and that multiplies.
Well, but that is what the Muslims are saying. So it is for you to explain to us.
Well, it has no basis at all in Islam. Maybe somebody's imagination and somebody trying to let people know that, oh, if you carry out this exercise, it is a virtuous one and you are likely to receive a lot of benefits. And so they bring all these kind of things into it to entice people. Now, if a man kills somebody, one person or whatever, and he gets 70 beautiful maidens to serve him, Allah in the Quran talks about believing men, believing women. You know, righteous men, women. Men who do good, women who do good. They will all be accepted into the fold of Allah in His abode. So if a man kills one person and he gets 70, then it also holds good that if a woman also kills a man, he will also get 70 beautiful men to serve him.
Thank you very much for this analogy that you have just drawn. Well, our viewers, we are grateful to Al-Hajj Ahmed Suleiman Anderson for helping us to remove the misconception about jihad. Time will not allow us to continue, but we are very, very grateful to you, and we hope that you will make a date with that in our next program to continue to discuss more issues about Islam. In any case, if you still have further clarification to seek, if there's anything bothering on your mind, the numbers that are scrolling on the screen, you can call any one of them or WhatsApp any one of them, and then you can send your questions. Inshallah, we'll deal with all such questions as we go forward. So thank you very much once again, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.